Okay, so I figured I'll probably get asked about this by a couple people because it was kind of a unique experience. So rather than take 30 pictures of the whole place, I thought I would just do a little video walking around. Um, this is the Ontario Vipassana Center, and I think it's a bit of a tomato-tomato situation with that word. There's a chance that an Indian guru could hear me say that, and he would forcibly override all his years of training in compassion for others and nonviolence and slap me upside the head. But what can you do? I just don't really know. So just behind us here, the grounds are pretty big. You kind of come in around this corner, down over there a little bit. There's a parking lot and a check-in booth. And what you do is you check in and you come, bring your car over here, drop your luggage off at the male residence over there if you're male, um, and then you go back around, park your car in the parking lot, and then you are here for 10 days. And yeah, it's all gender segregated, so this is just the male side. I won't be showing you the female side. That's of course been a huge struggle for me as a promiscuous straight man, but I fought through it. It was one of the many challenges I faced here. And essentially, these three buildings are where you live for the 10 days. So we're just going to walk through them really quick. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning on the 11th day, so a lot of people are heading out. There's going to be a couple people cleaning as well. Hopefully, it's not too loud and you can hear me. And yeah, let's just run through. So we got that's the dining hall over there in front of the white car. This is the male residence over here, so where you got your rooms, and then the building way in the back there is the meditation hall, which will probably be the most interesting building. So let's start walking through. Go to the dining hall here first. Oh, and Mom, if you're watching, there is a guy behind me. He's holding a knife. I can feel the point in the back of my, small of my back. So I believe he is trying to make sure I'm just giving a good review of the place, in which case then they will allow me to leave. So I'm gonna be a bit glowing, and I'm being forced against my will essentially. Okay, so this is the dining hall here. It's just a little, it's a foyer here. One place that was really good. All the buildings had foyers, so basically you just wear socks everywhere or flip-flops or the shoes you bring. Dad, I brought your slippers. I was wearing those. It was really good. It kept the floors and everywhere really clean, like in the actual places where you're doing stuff. Okay, so here's the dining hall. Everything is buffet style, so it's just all laid out on these tables. And there's kind of two permanent stations where you could have coffee and tea. And you got assigned a seat, and you just sat there the whole time for every meal. So this was my seat right over here, and it was very nice. I got to see the duality of the what do I call this? The retreat between the two people I was sitting beside. This guy here, very, very open, far away from the table, very relaxed, and this guy over here, tight, tucked into the chair, to the table, hunched over his coffee, holding it with two hands, visibly shaking. So it was quite funny to be in the middle of that. Anyways, yeah, not anything too crazy here, but it was nice, very clean. That big curtain there is usually folded over, so all the women are on the other side and all the men are over here. There's a little bulletin board here. This is where all the information was if anything changed during the days. But for the most part, most of the days were the same. I'm just gonna grab my shoes here. Okay. We'll head out the door we came here, and we're just gonna go look at the male residences next. I don't know, there's a lot of people kind of cleaning up right now. I don't know if in the meditation hall it'll be like particularly busy. I hope it isn't. But it's not a big deal either way. No one seems to mind. Okay. So right here is the AT residence. That's assistant teacher. So there's 2 assistant teachers running the course, 1 male, 1 female. There's some stairs over there. It goes upstairs. We won't be going up there. It's the exact same as downstairs. I'm just going to show you where my room was. There's communal bathrooms over here. And then again, we got this is all the foyer. So like nobody's wearing their outdoor shoes into the area, which keeps everything really clean, which is nice. And I believe there were some double rooms and some single rooms. But many of them were this style so this open door here is my room. And I've obviously since put everything away, but just flip the phone here. So yeah, super simple. Like it's just a dorm room, and it's super simple. You got your chair, you got your bed, and you got a couple little shelves there. It serves its purpose. And so like this guy would be my neighbor. And in addition to the communal bathrooms, we also had our own little like personal bathroom here. And shower. So you were never waiting for anything. Like there's tons of bathrooms. It was totally fine. That's all his stuff on the bottom. That was his shelf. My shelf was on top. I've got everything put away. I'm all ready to go after this video. Actually, I'm just gonna linger on this right here. This is the daily schedule. So I'm gonna go look at this. So essentially, these like bolded ones here, like boom, and boom, and boom. Group meditation in the hall. This is like this was the kind of the meat and potatoes. This is vegetarian. This was the tofu and potatoes of the course. And like that, it was 1 hour in the hall, no questions asked, be on time. And that was where you got like most of your work done kind of while you were here. These other times, like 4:30, 6:30, meditate in the hall or at your own place. There's another one, another 2 hours, hour and a half. It was more informal, so it was kind of like you could take breaks, you could do it in different places, you could walk around if you wanted to. So what I tended to do, I usually did like half an hour on, half an hour off, but it depended, because I mean, if a 1 hour was coming up, which is like the 1 hour is, you have to stay in the hall for an hour sitting, it's quite difficult, so you want to make sure you're going in there like ready for that. So yeah, if it was getting any time nearer to one of those, I was making sure I was rested beforehand. Also note, so right here, 6:30 to 8 is breakfast, 11 to 12 is lunch, and that's it, man. And then 5 to 6, tea break. New students were allowed to have a little bit of fruit. So at 5 p.m., I had 2 apples, and that was it. I was going to bed hungry every night. That was a very challenging part of this retreat, but apparently it's very important. You can meditate better when your stomach is emptier, so they forcibly starve you. It was terrible. Oh, he's digging the knife into my back a little harder. I'm going to talk. It was actually fantastic. And down there, more rooms. We're not going down there. It's going to be the exact same. No need to look at that. Okay, we're going to go out this back door here. Um, so here's some like they were called cabinets, I guess, but they're cabins. Just one one room, small, and I think some people stayed in them. I don't know if you have to like specifically ask for that or whatever. But yeah, it was. There were some people out there for sure, and they were aluminum roofs, and it was raining some days, so I'm sure those people were having some loud nights. This path here is like the only path you're allowed to walk on outside of the actual grounds, because they want to keep you contained in the area so that you're not wandering and roaming and I don't know disrupting your practice in some way. So this is the designated walking path. It goes past these cabins, and it's about a 5 minute loop. It's over there. It's nice, but it's very small, so you can only do it so many times. And I would have done it more, but you know what? I only brought this one hoodie with me, and I was just a little bit too cold most of the days, so I actually didn't go out on it as much as I used to, or as much as I was planning to. I thought I'd be out there a lot, um, but yeah, I didn't end up going. And Mom, before you chastise my clothing decisions, I'll have you know I did not freeze to death, so that's the win. Okay, now we'll walk over. Here's the meditation hall. So this was a very commonly walked path because you're often just going back and forth between your room and the meditation hall. And over here, so there's the dining room. That's where we came from, and then the building over there is one of the women's residences. There's multiple though because they're all a little smaller, and then you can see the gong right there, which yeah, that got used. And let me tell you, gongs do their job. Those are loud. I'm not going to go too up close. Whatever. We'll go look at it for a second. And you know what they say about these places? You know, if they don't have a gong, they're doing it wrong. I don't know if that's an actual saying, but nonetheless, it absolutely works. And you can see, so there's like a hammer for hitting it and ear protection. So I mean, yeah, when someone hit this thing, you heard it. So I would imagine being right beside it, the person hitting it, you're definitely going to want that ear protection. And then next up, this is the, I guess, nicest or most interesting building. The meditation hall. Hopefully it's not packed with people cleaning like crazy. The place stays pretty clean in general though, and a lot of people clean up after themselves and whatnot, so it really stays quite nice. Here's the foyer. Just in there is the hall. I'll walk in there in a second. So just over here is there's like a long hallway down there. You can kind of go all the way down to that blue light you see. And it's very funny because there'd be breaks in between like meditation sessions. And so people would come out here and they'd just want to walk around a bit just to stretch the legs because you've been sitting for so long. So there'd be like 15 plus people all standing up, walking in this little area, shambling really. And one thing, so while you're here, you're not allowed to talk to anyone else. It's very important that you maintain this silence. It's quite good for your practice, apparently. And actually, I agree, because now on the last day, you're allowed to talk. They lift the silence, and I think it does affect your meditation, actually. So it is an important thing to do. But along with that silence, they also recommend that you don't look at anyone. And while I don't think glances matter, it's the idea of like staring. If people were staring at each other, that would be jarring in the middle of kind of what you're trying to do here. So there's just 15 plus people walking around this little confined space and like heads down looking at their feet and just like kind of quietly avoiding each other is kind of a funny thing to look at when I would usually go back to my room and just to get a little walk in, and then come back and maybe sit in one of these chairs and then try to navigate through the crowd to get back into the hall here. Just real quick before we go in, because I think everything's cleaned up. Oh, it almost is. So these are all like cushions, lots of different shapes, sizes, heights. This entire shelf was empty, so all of this stuff was being used. And then these wooden things actually, I don't know if you've seen these before, they're kneeling benches. And so they're kind of angled, so that they're just angled so they're more comfortable when you're sitting on them. And let me put them down. Like that kind of thing, right? And you put your feet under it and then kneel, so you're not kneeling right on your ankles. And that is actually what I used the whole time, which was great. It worked so well for me. Like I just used that, and I had just like a thin little pillow, and that was all I needed. It worked out fantastically because I would imagine if I had to sit cross-legged or some other way, I would be like many of the people here who had a lot of these pillows supporting them, and yeah, it made sense. There's also some shawls here, some blankets, which are just, most people use those just to, not as like supporting things, but just to wrap around themselves, kind of, I guess, soothing in a way. Because it wasn't particularly cold in here. It was, if anything, it was warm. All right, so this is the hall. So split down the middle. This is the men's side here. And over there we got the women's side. There were a couple more women. I think there was like 10 more women, and I think they actually have lodging and consideration for more women than men. So I think on average more women do the course, but I think it was like, this course was like 40 men and 50 women. So just coming in here, it's interesting to see it like this because it's so clean. And well, it was clean during the time, but it just looks so different because everyone, like, so all those cushions and whatnot were taken, right? So this whole area was like, every little square was filled with different things. Like everyone was using their own different technique to make it work because it's quite difficult to sit. And then eventually, as you progress, the hour sit, they actually say like, don't move. Try to not move. Obviously you're allowed to move, but like try very hard to not move for an hour while you're meditating. It's part of the process. It's called aditana, one of the, which is strong determination. And you know what? Actually, the more you do it, it does make it easier. I was finding I could very consistently sit without moving, but it was very hard initially. That's one annoying thing about this course, by the way, is there were so many like Indian words, and it was fine. It was just hard to remember them immediately when they were said because it was like, oh, geez, what did that word mean again? Anyways, so I sat right here. So I was second from the back on the outside row, and it was very interesting. The guy right here, and the guy right here, and the guy right here all left. I think those were the only 3 guys that left the course. And then this guy up here, he went to a chair. So he was like over there. And then so if this guy in front of me, if he had left, I would have been like completely isolated on my own little island. So that was kind of funny, but he stuck it out with me. I was joking with him once we started to talk that he had a ton of pillows like supporting him, and he was sitting cross-legged. And I was just like, if I didn't have that kneeling bench, I would have been the same as you. Like I would have been sitting on 27 pillows, just trying to stay comfortable. One thing that was interesting, this guy here, I only saw him like on the first sit of the first day, and then he was gone. I don't know how fast he left, or I don't know if he like went to a chair and tried it and then disappeared. But that guy like did not last long at all. I'm not sure about this guy. I don't know what happened to him. This guy felt kind of bad. He was an older guy, and he went because his daughter recommended it to him. I was talking to him before the course started, and he had every different kind of cushion and instrument on those shelves. That every different one. And he was trying to make it work during the sits. Like I heard a lot of movement from him, so he's just constantly switching up his cushions and stuff, and probably trying to figure it out. And it was like, uh, I was kind of like, especially when he was being particularly loud during the sessions. I remember just thinking, like, man, just sit in a chair, like, just grab a chair. Um, and it's funny because there is a little bit of a pride thing, I would say, like you want to be able to sit for the hour and not need a chair. Um, but while I was here, I actually experienced just like a drop of the benefits of meditation, like the mental benefits. Um, and it's so funny because it's like that is worth so much more than the way you're sitting. Like the way you're sitting doesn't matter at all in terms of what you should be looking to get out of what you're doing here. It's like would you rather receive mental benefits from the meditation or like be able to sit in lotus pose comfortably for an hour? It's such a stupid, it's like, what would you rather eat, steak or bugs? Like it's just the most obvious answer. One doesn't matter at all and one is extremely valuable. um, and also, like, if you're concerned about that kind of stuff, like, you can just work on it. It'll get better slowly, but you may have to start in a chair. But anyways, whatever. Um, so this is where the teacher sat, up on that kind of table there. Um, that was the female one, and the one I was just previously looking at, that was the male one. This space here was so this whole place is run by volunteers. So a bunch of the people that like were serving us, they would come here for the sits, and they would sit right up here, and right beside the teacher, the course manager would sit. So as I said, we're not allowed to talk to anyone during this. The course manager and the assistant teacher are the only people you are allowed to talk to during this time. And the assistant teacher has specific interview times where you can talk to him, and he also only wants to talk to you about like the meditation and if you have technical questions and other things that are coming up in your practice. So this guy has only specific subjects and only specific times. Basically, you need anything else, you're talking to this guy. And I would imagine it would be a very busy job because he was going around, like, I saw him doing a bunch of stuff. He was ringing the gong every time, which is like at least 15 times a day. And like, you got to be on time with that. So you got to remember, and you have to be awake, which was a struggle for me. Sometimes I'd be asleep at random times during the day. And then he was also putting up signs and just, bustling, making sure things were running smoothly. And then on top of that, to be on call for 40 people that just come to you with whatever problem they have. I would imagine that would be a little bit of a challenge, but he handled it quite well. And when I saw him and I thanked him at the end, he said, "Oh, and thanks." And I said, "Yeah, that must have been a bit of a challenge." And he was like, "Oh, it had its moments." And I said, I don't think I even once noticed you furrow your brow." And he laughed pretty hard at that, which was kind of funny. Okay, we're at the back of the long hallway here. I just want to show you one more room. It's because it's kind of unique to meditation halls. You're not going to see this anywhere else. These are the they're called isolation rooms. So, oh geez, it's so dark in here. Maybe the other. It's a little bit better so you can see there's a couple doors there and a couple doors over here, but it runs down very far past that curtain. The women's side has even more. So a huge long row, and like, what's in these rooms? Oh my god, it's so fucking dark. Actually, I don't even want to show you this one now that I'm looking because it's not a good example. Sorry, I know you can't see anything. 1 second. Oh man, it's too dark. Oh, that sucks. This is the room though, essentially. the light. I've turned on the light in it. That's how like muted it is. Um, but yeah, it's a closet essentially. I can't even lie down in here. It's probably 5 feet by 3 feet. Um, and yeah, that's the purpose is you go in there and it's quite quiet in here and isolated and private, and you get your own little space. I thought I would use this more, but I didn't. But I think it's a cool thing, and it's like this, this amount of them, kind of just to be located here is very unique to a meditation hall. So I thought I would just show you that, and that's pretty much everything. So yeah, it was an interesting experience to spend 10 days here and do that, and I definitely what do I want to say about it? The reason it was like you come here and they're like, all right, here's this like tool you can use in your life and it'll like help make your life better. And so you start using the tool and it's like, what the fuck, like this isn't doing anything. And also my back hurts. I've been sitting here for an hour. I hate this. And you do that for a little while and then like progressively they start giving you more and more instruction, more and more guidance. I forgot to mention just before we go to bed, there's a discourse, which is it's a video we watch of the guy who I think originated a lot of these centers, and he gives you a bunch of information basically on what you're kind of going through. And one thing I really liked, he said it on the very first one, and he often repeated it, is that like doing the work is way more important than this intellectual stuff, but it's a good supplement. But you gotta be doing it. He's like, you could watch 1,000 videos of me telling you what it's like, and you'll get nothing out of it if you're not doing anything. Whereas, if you were to just do work, eventually you'll probably get somewhere without my help. But if you do both at the same time, you can really kind of fast track your experience. So they work well together. And yeah, so you kind of work with this tool and slowly, you start to realize, oh, this is actually kind of valuable. Actually, I don't think it's a gradual thing. I think it's in like an aha moment. For me, it was day 7. Day 7 was both the most negative day and most positive day because something happened, which proved to me that like this tool actually works and you can use this in your life, and it will make it better. And I remember I had an interview with the teacher on the 8th day, and I was explaining to him kind of what happened to me, and I said, after this interview, the course could end, and I'd be completely satisfied, because I know I've taken something out of this, and like I'm bringing it to my life, and I think it's going to help me. Okay, yeah, perfect. I was gushing a little bit there, because the guy behind me, Mom, he seems to have eased up, he's let go of my shoulder, and he's loosened. She's pulled the knife point back from the small of my back. So I think they're going to let me go. So with that, I will see you soon.